Hi everyone. Welcome to my floss tube, my number one floss tube. We'll see how this goes. I've been encouraged by a couple other floss tubers that I know to go ahead and try this out, so here I go. I don't know if there'll be much editing, so there might be a lot of ums and stops and starts, but we'll see how this goes. My name is Liz. I live in Northern Kentucky. My handle on social media is Stitcher_Baker. And the Baker part comes in because I am also a certified pastry chef. I do that not by trade. I do that for fun. I went back to school when I was 60 to learn how to do all the things I never learned to bake. My mother was a great baker and she taught me a lot of things, but there were certain things like actually making pastry dough and things like that that I had never learned and was too intimidated to learn on my own. So I went back to school and got my degree. And so now I'm the one that everyone comes to when they have baking questions. And if you have any, you can put them in the comments below and I will try to answer them. I'm not all knowledgeable, but I'm pretty good. I just came back from StitchCon weekend A. I had never been to a retreat before. I just rediscovered stitching in March of this year, and I've been a fanatic ever since. I stitched a lot through my 20s and 30s, and I quit about 15 or 20 years ago when I moved into a house. I got divorced and moved into a house, and it had pretty poor lighting. And I just never felt inspired, and I went through kind of a depression for a while, and I am remarried, and I have been remarried now for 12 years, and we moved 5 years ago into this house. And again, I just was talking to my friend on my phone one day and said, I think I'd really like to try cross stitching again. It's been a number of years and I'd like to try that. And as phones do, they listen to you. And the next time I opened up YouTube, FLOSSTUBE popped up. And I had even no idea that it existed. So I am now pretty much watching that nonstop and watching everyone's mid-year WIP parades. And when I first started watching in March, I started watching all of everybody's end of year stitch parades. And I got inspired, started stitching, haven't stopped, and went to StitchCon. I'm signed up again to go to a retreat in Williamsburg in October, put on by Annabella's or Arabella's, not sure, but it's a Plum Street Samplers is the sponsor or host or guest. I'm not sure, but anyway, I'm real excited to do that. My husband works from home, so he's going to drive with me over there. It's about an 9 hour drive, and I'm going to go to the retreat while he works, and then when the retreat's over, we're going to tour Williamsburg and maybe pop up to DC where my brother lives to see him. So I am going to kind of give you an idea of where I'll be bending in and out of the video to pick up things. But this, God bless our house, our home, was the first stitch I ever stitched as a little girl. And my mom and I did a sampler, and I did this one, I think, if I remember correct. And to err is human, to forgive divine is another one that I did. And I was a little girl when I did these. My mother used to buy me these kits. And the stitching on them is horrible. If you look closely, the X's don't connect, and they were a stamped cross stitch piece. So I did the best I could as a 7 or 8 or 9-year-old. I don't remember how old I was. And then when I was a teenager, I saw a little kit in the store of a pack of daisy seeds was the pattern, and it said daisies 5 cents. And we lived on a farm. I grew up on a farm. We grew a lot of flowers. We grew a lot of fruits and vegetables and tobacco here in Kentucky. And I was inspired by this little pattern of counted cross stitch, which I had never done. So I took it home, and I had only ever worked on stamped pieces. In high school, I embroidered a lot of flowers on my denim shirts like we did back in the 70s. And so anyway, I had never done counted cross stitch, and I opened up and I started it, and I didn't like the way it looked, and I picked it back out. It was on white Aida, which I still sometimes stitch on today. And I used 3 threads, even though the instructions said use 2. I used 3, and it looked bulky and not very good, but I finished it, and I thought, I'm going to get a different pattern that I actually really connect with and do it the way they say do it. And I think I ended up throwing that piece away or donating it to charity or something. I don't know. But anyway, got better and better at it, and I've been stitching pretty much, you know, like I said, all through my 20s and 30s. A lot of gifts I gave away, a lot I kept, and they're hanging around my home in different places. But I got into paper crafting for a number of years. For the last 20 or so years, I was paper crafting instead of cross stitching, and now I'm kind of reverting back to cross stitching, and I want to downsize my scrap room. It's a huge mess right now. I've got stuff piled everywhere because now I'm doing both crafts, and there's just not enough room in my little 10 by 10 craft room. But anyway, I'm going to show you kind of some of the things I've been working on recently, things I've finished. I have some fully finished items that are still at the framers. I have I started a gallery wall in my hallway as you come in the front door, and I've got some of the pieces I've done there. One of the pieces I started back in 1999 or 2014, whenever it was. And so I'm now framing things that I had finished prior. I just found another piece, which is Peace on Earth, I think it's called, in Shepherd's Bush. And I had the mats I had already bought for it. I had the framed piece I had already actually mounted. And I just took it to the framers because it needed a specialty size frame. And I picked out a frame, and so it's up there right now getting framed. Trying not to clear my head. I'm going to have some zippers. This weekend I finished Godzilla. Oh, I don't know where that one is. I'll get to it. But anyway, today I finished Stitchy Bug by Boomerang Stitches. And this needle here, I opted not to stitch the needle, but stitch a needle onto the cloth. So the bug is actually stitching instead of using like a silver or gray thread. I changed the colors on this from what Amity designed on the bug, because I like primary bright colors, and hers were more in the blue, purple, pink range, and I just like these better. And I gave the bug red eyes because don't most bugs have red eyes? I don't know. But anyway, the threads are a little different, but they were all done with DMC. And I like the way this turned out. And I like the fact that I added a real needle there that when I go to put this in a little frame, which a piece this size I'll frame myself. I won't take to the framer. I really only take statement pieces that I really want my family to keep when I'm gone in professional frames. I have been doing, I was inspired by Anita of Shine Stitch Sparkle, I think. is her, I should have written this stuff down. But anyway, at StitchCon, I met Anita from Shine Sparkle Stitch, I think it is. Shine Sparkle Stitch. Anyway, she was working on a lot of Patriotic stuff, and she says she does a ton of Patriotic, and I had a lot of Patriotic patterns and had just bought the box from Primrose Cottage, so I've been working on those stitches also, and I will show those when I get to them in my stack. I'm gonna kind of be shuffling things around here. Another pattern, another one of my WIPs right now is the Birthstones and Flowers, I think it's called, by Tiny Modernist. I really like Tiny Modernist patterns. I think they're really cool. And I'm gonna say things that sound like really cool and whatever. That's the way I talk. But anyway, I've made pretty good progress. I'm not totally caught up. The next installment just got released, which I've yet to print out, but I'm going to probably later on today. And this is where I'm at on the pattern. I've got 4 months completely done. When I work a pattern like this and it has back stitching on it, I go ahead and do the back stitching so that when I'm done with the pattern, it's complete. I'll try to show you. I don't know if I've got the front of the pattern. I do. Well, I've got the first 6 is what I've got printed out. This is through Tiny Modernist Patreon, and so I think it'll probably be released sometime next year or the year after, or depending on how it does. I don't know, but I'm really happy with this. I think it's really pretty, and this will be a piece that ends up at the framers, because I will want this hanging in my bedroom or something. So I'm really happy about that, what I've made, progress I've made on that. And like I said, that's one of my focus pieces this month, is to go ahead. I haven't gotten into all that, setting a distinct schedule for when I stitch on things, or putting 100 threads a day on something. I try to get to a piece in my WIP pile every couple of weeks, just to keep them going. If I don't feel like I'm stitching on something, I don't stitch on it. I don't feel like I need to force myself to do a stitch that I don't want to do. I'm in the middle of a Christmas stocking, which I will show you later, that I'm doing for my grandniece, and I don't know if I'm going to keep stitching on it or if I'm going to abandon it and start on something else that I like better. It was a dimensions kit, and I think I want to pick out a pattern that it was just a pattern I started actually when she was born 10 years ago, and I did stitch a little bit here and there, and I got I don't know, a few days work on it, and then I didn't, and then I've been working on it more often, but I'm still not thrilled with the pattern, and it's kind of boring. I don't know. But anyway, the next piece I'm doing is the Cloister sampler, the mystery sampler from Fox and Rabbit. I am current through June. July's edition just got added to it, and I have not, this is on a, I printed off, but I haven't started on doing July stitching, but there's not that much to it, so I think it'll take me a couple nights and I'll be done with July stitching. But here is my stitch, and I am stitching it on Ada, hand-dyed Ada. And let me get the card out, because I can tell you who the fabric is by. I do try to put a card in my, well, it's not in here, of course. Oh yeah, it is. No, it's just 14 count Ada that I bought at Keepsakes, which is my local needle workshop in Cincinnati, in Sharonville. The thread color is the Silken Colors from the Thread Gatherer in Warlock Road. And it is a variegated kind of purpley, green, gray variegation. And I am thrilled with how this is turning out. And this will be another piece that gets framed professionally. The modeling on the fabric, different places, is blue and green. I don't know if you can see that very well, but it's kind of a pale modeling, so I like that. But right in the center, there's a really blue spot that kind of makes it look like it's a little bit stained. I don't know if you can see that, but anyway, here it is. I'm thrilled with this pattern. I will do this Fox and Rabbit mystery sampler every year. The patterns are free. And I've looked at some of the past ones and actually started about starting some of the past ones. And I thought, no, I'm just going to move forward and see where we're at. This next, there's going to be zipping going back and forth too. So I hope that doesn't bother you. This next pattern is called No More. And I bought it on Etsy, and this kind of is a protest pattern for what's going on in the country right now and just in general with the patriarchy. So I'm stitching that, and I am stitching it with coal, the whole thing. I think I haven't decided not to do that, but the crowns on top, I've only done two of them. This is my start. I've done those two crowns in coal. I'm going to do most of it. I might do the letters in a different color just to make them pop out a little more. This is a linen, 32 count linen, and the fabric is X Jute and the color is Marbled Bunny. And like I said, the only stitches I've put in so far are the two crowns at the very top left of the corner, and it's in coal. And that's because I like the brown and black variegation in the thread. So I guess this is a WIP parade for the most part. I will show you some things at the end that I am planning on doing. That's a plan on. Oh, here's the thing I finished this weekend. This I got off Etsy. I have a 28-year-old stepson, and he loves Godzilla. And so I made this Godzilla pattern that I found on Etsy. It is not exactly how the pattern is. I added an extra house on the end because I was stitching in the car, and I don't know what I was thinking, but I just kept stitching, and I ended up with an extra house on the far end. But and Godzilla is, the colors aren't great, but it's darker. I feel like Godzilla is darker when in person. It's done on a light blue Aida, 14 count. And like I said, I got this pattern off Etsy. I do not know the seller I got it from because I bought it so long ago. But anyway, that's finished, and I'll put that in a frame for him for Christmas. My Patriotic stitching that I have done, I told you I bought the Patriotic Sip and Stitch box from Primrose Cottage, which included, I think included America My Home Sweet Home, which I have not stitched. It included this 1976 pattern, or 1776 pattern, excuse me. It included, what else did it include? sure you can find an opening on the box, but or opening somewhere on stitches. But it also included this 4th of July round. And this is a pattern of those, and I think I bought this one separately. It's red, white, and spools. And I had this little heart and hand pattern called Celebrate. And so I think that was it. So what I've done, oh, there's a God Bless America pattern. I don't know where that one is. It might be out on my table where I stitch. But anyway, here is the 1776 pattern. I did most of these in just 3 colors of DMC floss. I didn't use the variegated threads that some of the patterns called for because I had these thrusts on hand. This is the God Bless America stitch. I'm putting all these on one fabric because I'm going to cut them apart and make smalls for them. Here is the little round sampler quilty looking thing. Here is the heart and hand pattern, which I did in just colors I had, and I changed up the pattern a little bit because I didn't want to make it as big as the pattern actually was. And here is the red, white, and spools. So this is done on a 28 count Laguna that is probably, it has very, very slight modeling. I think from the back, if I hold it back, you might be able to see that it's got just some very slight modeling to it. It is Bestitch Me in the color One More Reproduction. The fabrics that have come out since I started stitching again are just fabulous. It's like, I just want to stitch on all of them. I have a few other patriotic patterns that I want to do and I have purchased, but I have not done yet. These are the Red, White, and Bloom designs by Brenda Gervais. This Sweet Wing Studio Freebirds. I think that's adorable. And this Life and Liberty America pattern. And this is Sue Hillis Designs. It's on my to-do pile. United We Stand by Teresa Kogert. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. If I am, I'm sorry, Teresa. And Asbury's Echo Stitches by Rhonda Miners. I got this off of Etsy. And Needle Treasures, Nooks, Stars, Stripes, and Blooms. I got that off Etsy. So there's quite a few others, and there's even a couple more that I'm sure I'll run across as I'm going through here, because I've got all my patriotic stuff stuffed in one bag, but I've got other stuff laying around too. So I don't ever stitch anything twice. If I'm done with it, I'm done with a pattern, and it either is given away to a friend or I take it. I'm going to start taking them to some stretch retreats and putting them on the freebie tables and let people take them. I don't know what the thing is about the ones you buy electronically. I haven't started. I haven't gone into that realm yet. I've bought the patterns and printed them out, but I have not like given them away. So I guess it's the same as any other pattern. I don't know. I'll have to ask my stitchy friends that have been doing this longer than me what the procedure for that is. So another stitch that I've been stitching on is my Christmas list by Silver Creek Samplers, my Christmas list. And I do have a goal on this to finish this by Christmas next year. I don't think it's going to happen by this year. But when I decided when I do pick up this pattern, I'm at least going to get a row done, you know. I'm going to pick the row and get it done. And because that way I feel like I'm making like serious progress. And I started this at StitchCon, so I feel like I've done pretty much since StitchCon. I'm doing this in all the same called for fabric, or not fabric, but it's going to be way bigger than like somebody doing this on 40 count. Sorry. But I'm doing this on 28 count Laguna. It's my favorite thing to stitch on. And seriously, everything in this Christmas wish list is things that I love to do at Christmas time. You know, family visits, woolen sweaters, flying reindeer, mistletoe, hot cocoa, pies and cookies, Old St. Nick, peace and goodwill. It's all the stuff I love about Christmas that, you know. My fabric is 28 count mushroom Lugana. What's next on I have not started that yet. I've got some stuff in here that I have not started yet. Have not started that. I've got them kitted up, but I haven't started them. Same. I don't know how much more I've got. Charlie Harper. My husband is a big Charlie Harper fan, and I like his artwork too. I wish I had more cross-stitch patterns of his. I'm still looking for some of them. My table mate at StitchCon found some on the freebie table, and she gave me one of them that I did not have. But this is one that I got off eBay, and I am stitching this little cardinal, this red cardinal, which is very iconic of his artwork. He did cardinals a lot. The called for, this looks more yellowy orange. It looks more of a gold to me for it being corn. And these leaves look black in the picture, and they're actually brown in the stitch. But the corn is actually the same color as his orange beak, and so the corn is very orange. It's called for, and I don't know if I like it or if I love it. I haven't decided, but all I really have to do now, see where I'm at here, is all the back stitching for all the leaves and branches and stuff that the corn stalks that are all dead. So I've got a lot of that filling to do, and that's gonna be a pain in the butt, really. I mean, come on, who loves all that back stitching? That's kind of one of the things I hated about all the patterns in the 80s and 90s. I don't know what this pattern is. This might be a kitted up kit. It is. It's something I kitted up. I'll just go ahead and show you a pattern while I've got it up. It's Shining Star by Sam Sarah Design Inc. It's also, I don't know if there's a pattern date on here, but this is one of my old patterns I pulled out. I don't have the stand. I just picked up the camouflage colored DMC that this calls for. But this also has some colors I've got to look at because I'm not sure. I've got some different fabric that's not quite as blue. I bought Laguna Seraphim, Stonewashed is the color, and this is the fabric I'm going to be putting it on, so which is gorgeous. So I have to figure out if I'm going to like the threads on this pattern. So yeah, I'm going back and forth on kitted probably at this point because I'm getting down to the end of my whips. I don't have a ton of whips going on. I've got a few more in another part of my craft room that are very old, and I don't know if I'm going to even continue on them, honestly. This is another one I've got kitted up called Santa Berry by Shepherd's Bush, and I love Shepherd's Bush patterns. And it calls for DMC number 10, which I've got. But it's also got some buttons, and I'm trying to find the buttons right now. There's a sleigh and 3 reindeer, and a star button and a little heart button and another little star button, and I'm trying to find the charm pack for this on eBay. I don't know if I'll ever find it. The store does not carry it anymore. Called out there. But I'm gonna see if I can't put together something similar. So I keep looking at Just Another Button Company, and the problem is I don't know the sizes of those charms to really know exactly. I mean, I can kind of guess by the chart, but until I get it stitched, which I think it'll be a fast stitch. So these Shepherd's Bush patterns on this kind of burlappy, soft burlappy material. It's Ada, but I don't know the name of the fabric because I've got this fabric from out of my stash that I had down in the basement. I don't know how old it is. The pattern does not have, it calls for 16 count alabaster heatherfield, which might be the fabric. I don't know. It's not very alabaster to me. So we'll see. So what's next on my whips here? This is my Welsh sampler. This I've started since I got back from StitchCon. It is a huge, huge sampler. I am half Welsh, and I am going to stitch this. It is going to be huge. I've got at least a half a yard of material here. I don't know, maybe even a little bigger that I had, purchased for this. And it is a Lugana, but it's off-white because there are 2 other pictures I found of this pattern, and one's done on black fabric, which is not even an option at this point with my eyesight, but it and this is kind of like the same kind of beigey sampler fabric that everyone uses, and I really like how the colors pop on this white fabric. It's actually antique white. So this is where I'm at. I've started on the border. So you can, if I back up, I don't want to run over my dog here. I'm all the way back so you can see how dang big this thing's gonna be. So I'm just doing the border because I just wanted to make sure it fit on this piece of fabric, and it's going to, but the margins are not going to be huge on it, so I just wanted to make sure I got it all done. And because of how big it is and how much fabric is involved, and I'm doing this with DMC thread and not silks, I just think it would be cost prohibitive. The fabric itself was like 78 bucks or something, and I don't mind spending on something that I'm going to keep, and it's going to be a family heirloom when I'm done, but I also have a budget like everybody else. This is the stocking I was talking about for my grandniece, Harper. This is a dimensions pattern called Santa and Snowman stocking. And this is the pattern. And it's a cute pattern. But it's kind of, I don't know, 90s. The one thing I did like about it was the checked band on Santa's hat, because it reminds me of the bags that Keepsake sells, that when you buy something there, it comes in a green and beige checked bag. So anyway, this is done on white Aida. I've gotten a long way, and that's why I feel like maybe I should keep going. I'm not going to stitch Santa's beard. I would just leave the negative white space like I did with the cat. But I don't know. I'm ambivalent about it, really. There are so many other patterns, and I've got a bunch of Shepherd's Bush stockings patterns, which I love those patterns too. And I did stockings for each of my nieces and nephews. I've got 6 nephews and 1 niece. And every time, and as you know, 35, 40 years ago, when they were starting to be born, as the kids were born, I made them each a Christmas stocking, and they all still have them. And now that they're having kids, which again, now I have 7 grandnephews and 1 grandniece. And I think that generation is done having kids. Well, that's not true. I have 2 nephews and a niece that haven't really started. One has one child. The other 2 haven't started having children yet. So I will have more I call them my grand nephews and nieces instead of my greats, because they're all great, right? So I call them the grands. They're my grands. I don't have any children other than my stepson, and he will never have children. So this is something I have kitted up called Love Your Family by I don't know who did this. Teresa Koge. I don't know. Anyway, she's got a book, and Let Love Rain is the one that I think everybody's stitching, but there's a pattern inside called Love Your Family. And it says, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. And I truly believe that. So I am going to be stitching this. I have it kitted up in the DMC colors. And I think they're DMCs. Sometimes I use the variegated stuff, but I'm really trying to use up stash that I have. And so anyway, I'm going to be stitching that. I just love it. And I'm going to establish 1997 with my husband and mine's wedding year, which is 2013. He's my 3rd husband. So, and I keep looking at the screen, and I know I'm supposed to look at the little dot. Forgive me. Another thing I'm working on is Freak the Beak by Boomerang Stitches. Amity designed this, and it's just so totally cute. Although I did a conversion, and if any, I did it from a DMC to Weeks Dye Works, because I did want the birds to be variegated, kind of in color. I am doing this on a fabric called Lavender Haze by Atomic Ranch. It's Lugana, 28 count. And it's just got the slightest of slightest lavender cast to it. So, I don't know if you can see it back. I don't know if that shows as lavender on the screen or not. But here's where I'm at. on that with my converted floss. They're very close to DMC's, the colors. I'm off by my counts. A couple of stitches, I don't know where I'm off at, but I'm off. But it really doesn't matter with this pattern because you can make a bird's leg a little longer or whatever if you need to. And so I'm done with one page just about of the pattern. I'll show you the whole pattern. Oh, I printed. Here is the whole pattern. And these are just so dang adorable. I love them. Here is my conversion. If you want to take a screenshot. This is Stephanie's writing from Keepsakes. Her writing is freaking so clean and clear. I would die to have that writing. So anyway, this is in a fabulous project bag. I have a bunch of project bags that I bought here and there off Etsy, but She's So Sassy in Minnesota she made me this bag called Sunday Stitch because I wanted a bag that I would just work on a pattern exclusively on Sundays. Now, I don't work on this pattern exclusively on Sundays, but I am going to get back to it because I really want to work on it some more. I haven't worked on it in probably 2 months because I got sidetracked with all the Patriotic stitching and I began this on March 31st, which was not long after I started restitching again. I stitch everything in hand on a Nerd hoop. So those are the end of my WIPs right now. I have got things kitted up that I'm getting ready to start. I'm waiting on one floss to come in for this, but I'm going to be doing Geraldine's flowers. Love that. I just think that's so adorable by the Artsy Housewife. I have kitted up I Am the Storm. It says, they whispered to her, you cannot survive the storm. She whispered back, I am the storm. And it's a kind of a rainbow colored. I got this on Etsy. You can just search for I Am the Storm. It'll come up. It's by TJ's Designs. I'll show you a couple other finishes as soon as I get done here because I've got those in another bag where I've been throwing them. Not the ones I've already had framed, but other ones. I am getting ready to start this because I think I can get this done by Thanksgiving. It's called Thankful. Love this pattern. I just love all the gingham check and the colors, and I just bought a little piece of mocha 14 count Aida to do it on. I hope that fabric's not too dark. I can see it. I did a piece on black. I did it. I didn't finish it. I stopped it where I'm going to stop it, and it's going to stay that way. And I have this pattern kitted up called Salem Remembered. It's a reprint from an older pattern, and the Primitive Needle re-released it. And it shows all the witches that were burned in 1692, their names, all the women and the one man. And so I am going to be stitching this soon. I bought a lemongrass Ada to print that on, put that on. I just thought it was so pretty. I've got 3 flosses I'm waiting to come in on this one to be complete to start it. And another thing I am going to be stitching is a kit that I bought. And I'm using the kit supplies. And it's a kit by Nemu called La Carossi. I don't know. My French is horrible. But I love this pattern. It's a little elf sitting on a pumpkin with his mice. It's like Cinderella. The midnight has struck and her pumpkin turned back into mice. And her horses turned back into mice. And her coachman turned into an elf. And I just think this is freaking adorable. Now, I will tell you, I bought this off eBay. And it was not cheap. And you can see, I don't know if you can see, this pattern has 3 holes in the top of it. And when I opened it, the pattern itself had 3 holes. And I opened it up. And the pattern, I think you could fudge, but it also posted holes in the list of DMC flosses through some of the symbols, which you can't fudge. So, and the threads are very pretty in this. But anyway, I emailed the guy and I said, look, I don't know if you knew this because it was an unopened kit, but I can't use this pattern. I mean, and I don't want to return it. I'd like to try to find just the pattern for sale and buy just the pattern. He didn't have another one. So we worked out a compromise. He refunded me $25 and I used that $25 to purchase the pattern from another person on eBay. So it worked out. I think I ended up losing a couple bucks more, but I've got a fresh new pattern that is complete. So I think I'm going to feel fine about that because I can color in the old pattern with the holes in it, not worry about it, highlight it, get it, you know, as I'm doing it. And then I can use the pattern for the newer pattern for just the little holes. I think some of those from that company are just awesome elf patterns. I am going to Mexico in a couple of weeks, so I just bought this Jan Hicks Creates Colors of Mexico's pattern. And I just think this is so pretty. So as my remembrance for this trip, I'm going to stitch this. At some point, I've got to get it kitted up. And my grandniece, she wants to be a marine biologist when she's older. She works a lot with the aquarium that we have here in Newport, Kentucky, and she does a lot of their kids' camps, and she does some volunteer work down there. And even though she's only 10, she's in, they do a camp kit. She's been doing this kids camp for several years. So now she's in, actually, even though she's only 10, they have put her in with like the teenagers because she's pretty intelligent. And she was really bummed because they picked 2 kids to go to Washington, D.C. to do something at NOAA. And her teacher down there told her she would have been picked had she met the age requirement, which was 14. So she was truly bummed. But she loves the ocean. She loves everything about it. And so I am going to do this for her. This is an owl forest embroidery of sea turtles. And I'm going to do this for her.
Wah, wah, wah. What you doing?
I just heard my husband come in. You want to come in and introduce yourself to my...
Hi, everybody. I totally apologize. I'm sorry. I'm a dick. Sorry.
Go away, please. Okay, so that's what I live with. And I have this kit that I just got, which is a Welsh Santa Mill Hill kit. It's called Wales Santa. I just love it. So anyway, that's my WIP parade, and I told you I was going to show you some finishes, and I will. This is funny because when I was going through my stash, I found a finish that I had done back in 2002. It was a shepherd's bush because Salt Lake City hosted the Olympics, so they had a Olympic stitch, and I did it. I think I'm gonna try to frame that little thing. I like it. And this is another stitch that I did, which was Winter Tree. It was a new pattern that was released in market this year called Winter Tree. And I finished that at StitchCon. This was when I got to ring the bell on. I was really happy about that. That was kind of cool. Love to do this. This is the black fabric piece that I was telling you about, called St. James's pattern. I forget. I'll have to look that up and maybe put it down below. But anyway, St. James's Dragon, I think. But anyway, this is the Welsh Dragon with some daffodils, which is the national flower of Wales, and the border, part of the border. The rest of the border around here had more daffodils. And I had such a hard time stitching. And I have a really good magnifying light. But I had such a hard time stitching this on the black fabric that when I got this much of it done and I thought I can make that into a small, I stopped. I was just like, I'm just adding more daffodils, and I don't care about adding more daffodils. I've got daffodils on there. Love them. Love them. Daffodils, one of my favorite flowers. I'm still looking for a good stargazer lily pattern, so if anybody knows of one, because that's actually my favorite flower. I finished Disagree by Rebel Stitchers, and I have that framed and up on the wall. And but I found some other Rebel Stitchers designs that I loved, and one was called Fluent in Foul Language. So I stitched that because I am very fluent in foul language, just not that kind of foul. But you may hear me cuss once or twice on here, and it happens. You heard my husband say he was a dick. Happens with him a lot more than it happens with me. This was a freebie pattern back in March from Primrose Cottage called Hello Spring that I stitched. And I did it on the called for fabric and threads. That needs to be made into a small. My sewing is not as fast as my stitching is faster than my sewing. This was a that one I said St. James's Dragon, it was called David's Dragon, and it was on Desert Night Lugana by Atomic Ranch. Here's all my finishes on my cards. This was a kit, and I don't have the kit information anymore. But anyway, I found this in my stash. And it was a pillow already made, pillowcase, with an insert to stitch. And so I went ahead and stitched it up. Didn't take me long. It was, I think I got it done in like a night and a half of stitching. I am retired. I just retired about right before StitchCon. Like StitchCon started on Thursday, and I retired. That Tuesday was my last day. So I went to StitchCon, retired, and I've been pretty much stitching every day since. On Thursdays, I watch one of my grandnephews. He's a baby, and he's just adorable. So, and this is my other Rebel Stitchers design, and I forget the name of this, and I don't have the pattern handy. I came into this really super unorganized, but it says May you arrive in heaven an hour before the devil knows you're dead. And this is done on a hand-dyed fabric. It has purple and blue, and it's Aida, 14 count Aida. With the called for thread, which you had to order from Rebel Stitchers Designs, so it was the only place that carried it. So, and I ordered it twice because I'm an idiot. And so when I was at StitchCon and I was working on this, one of the girls wanted to do this, and I finished. This was my other finish at StitchCon, and I gave her my pattern and the rest of my thread. So other than that, that is my stitching. I've got a few more things kitted up. I've got some kits, pre-made stocking kits from Dimensions that I haven't gotten rid of yet. I'll never live long enough to get it all done. But anyway, I'm glad you all joined me, and I was hoping to keep this at under an hour, and it looks like I'm at 55 minutes. So I accomplished what I set into. If you have any questions, you can comment below, and I will try to answer them as best I can. I can look on my project cards that I've finished and, you know, try to answer them. Oh, I also did this little stitching sack that's out by my stitching chair with my stuff in it, but I did that. I'm going to try to take a picture of all my things I finish and put them on these cards, and then just keep the cards. But I think I taped a couple of these cards to a couple of my framed pieces, so I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know. But anyway, thanks for joining me, and we'll see if I want to do this in another couple months to see where we're at. I don't know how often you all do WIP parades. I know some people don't get on here once every week, some people every 2 weeks, some people every month, some people every 3 months, and some people every 6 months, and some people once a year. So I don't know how often you'll see me, but if you'd like to subscribe and put me in your alarms to where it pops up and join me again, I'd love to have you with me. I hope I made you feel welcome here. Everybody is welcome here. If you have any questions about stitching, I'll try to answer them. WIP is a work in progress. I think I probably should have mentioned that, but I don't know. Everybody does. And I'll try not to make anybody feel like an idiot if they have a question, because I feel like a question is meant to be answered. It's not to be made fun of. If you don't know something, you don't know it. And if you want to know it, ask a question. So I was a legal assistant for many, many years. 40 years I spent in the legal community being a family law paralegal. So if you have any questions in the Cincinnati area about divorce lawyers, I can probably tell you. So anyway, thanks for joining me, and I'll zone out. Thanks. Bye.